Today's lesson I've done before, but this time I way leveled it up. And I gotta say, overall, it was 10 out of 10. I just had so much fun. The kids really loved it. I wish I had recorded more of this so you could see their reactions when they were coming in the room. But here's what we did, quite simply. We took a lesson that was ordinary and we attempted to make it extraordinary. Here's what we did. So on a super budget and using a lot of things that I found in the school, we took our spooky ghost stories that we've been writing for the last week in class as like a creative writing activity, and then we brought them in today. And the kids have had to create like rough drafts for this and a final draft, and they had to do peer revisions. And so this was sort of like the day that we were gonna present those stories. I used to do this in Philly, but that's another story for another time. It's probably already in another video. But today what we did was I tried to create a campfire scene or a campsite scene in the classroom. And so come here, let me show you what that looked like. I'm hoping you can see this, the camera's all the way over there. So I bought a bunch of stone that are just from Lowe's or Home Depot. They were $1 something each, and then if you don't need them, I'm gonna probably just return these when I'm done with it. I then took a 12 by 12 piece of plywood and took these logs from my backyard. I was gonna use them in my fireplace this winter anyway. I got pretty thin logs, and I just drove screws into them to hold the 4 logs up. I didn't want too many logs because I wanted the light to be able to come through. Then to create the fire, since I did go to like Spirit of Halloween first to try and find something that was gonna make it look like a flame, but those ended up being way more expensive. I got this flame for I think $17 on Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to pick it up. But then I also wanted to fill out the space. So we got tissue paper from the craft store, ripped that up, crumbled it up a little bit, and now it looks like embers in the bottom. Because I also got lights that I got right at Walmart. They're Halloween lights that have 8 different settings on them, I think, and one of them is this sort of like slow burn, this pulsating that looks a little bit like embers happening. Now, I'll say the fan on the flame is a little bit loud, so I had to be mindful of the other ambient noise that we were using, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But overall, I think we heard everyone pretty well if we turned down all the other like sounds that were happening in the room at that time. The tent I also got from Walmart for 20 bucks. It was in the camping section. It's a kid's tent. It's a 5 by 5 size on the inside. And you know, this is something that I feel like I'll use again. I'm not sure where or when I'm gonna use it yet, but it feels like it's a good prop to have in my classroom. I might even just leave it up and leave it as like a reading nook for kids or something of that nature. But we opened up the beanbag that I have in my classroom, and it opens up to a bed, a really comfortable bed. So 2 kids could sit here. I got a blanket to put on top of it to just add a little bit of warmth, and so it just looked like a beanbag inside of a tent. And then if you see behind me, I have all of these plants that I got from the school hallway. I don't know if anyone realized that they're missing yet, but I think I got 3 or 4 plants from the school hallway, and I just brought them in and put them in my classroom because I felt like I wanted it to have a little bit more of a woodsy feel than it did otherwise. Now, for ambiance, there's a couple of things going on here, because anyone that's ever worked on a play knows that the play looks a certain way when all the house lights are on, but it looks completely different when you turn the house lights down. And so we wanted to be mindful of that. If I was going to change anything, I would have added a bit of light maybe behind the tent to sort of make that pop a little bit more. But on my vibe board over here, you know, I'm blessed to have this 75-inch vibe board over here that I had some woods with a lake. During class, I had this turned up, and it's just lake sounds. It's waves gently lapping against the shore, it's crickets, it's night sounds, and it just kind of gave this sense of like, okay, this is where we are right now. Added to that, I have stars that you can see these speckles all over my face. Now, I know stars aren't green, but that's how this thing came. I bought this little astronaut guy. This dude over here, you can't really see him like this. I'll show it to you in some B-roll here, but he was $20 at Amazon. And again, this is one of those things that, you know, if I can buy a prop for class and I know I'm not gonna just use it once, but I'll use it multiple times, I feel like it's a good investment to me. I feel like you could use this for a whole bunch of stuff. There's a poetry lesson I'm thinking of, there's Lord of the Flies, a scene of Romeo and Juliet on the balcony I'm thinking of. There's a lot of different options and moments in my class to just create a vibe, but that's often done with lights and music, not just with the props that you have in your classroom, especially if you're going for some more of a dramatic feel. Then to create a bit more of a dramatic feel, I had pillows around the room for kids to sit on. And again, I got these from different places in the school. I borrowed pillows. I asked first if I borrowed pillows. Brought these in here so kids didn't have to sit on the hard concrete floor. And it's a little cooler and a little bit more cozy than sitting on desks or something like that. Behind all this, I had music playing at the same time. I played music through my boombox on a Bluetooth speaker on the other side of the room as kids came in. I then changed that to different sounds that may have added to the story, or that was just the fireplace crackling in the background. At one point, certain kids read in a really low voice, so I had to turn the volume down on the board here. But overall, I would say when the kids came in, they were so excited at the possibility and the idea of this that it went really well. Like two girls walked in and they said, I can't believe he created all this. I heard someone say, what even is this? Even the more curmudgeon-y kids in class had a really good experience today. I'll say that this is the best this project has ever gone. And it cost me, the plants were free, the pumpkin I got, somebody brought in for me, the pillows were free, the beanbag chair I already had in my classroom and I brought that from home. I already had the vibe board, but you could do the same exact thing with a projector in your room and project something on the wall. The tent cost me $20. And the fire cost me, I think, 17. So and the light little astronaut man cost me 20 bucks. So put on your donors choose. Ask your school for some money. Ask somebody if they have some of this stuff. Apparently one of the other teachers already has an astronaut. I probably could have just borrowed that from someone also. And real quick, here's why we would bother to do all this stuff. We bother to do all this stuff because largely school is boring. And we're just trying to create a space that kids can have fun. And I realize that fun is often the F word in education anymore, but it really does create an experience. And if you think about it, all the best learning moments in your life have been through experience, not through just reading something in a book. So if you're a science teacher and you're talking about kinetic and potential energy, it's about showing kids what that is. It's about doing cool things with magnets maybe in your science class. It's about making your reading come alive. Even if you have a scripted curriculum, can you add some music? Can you change the lights? Can you create a scene where we're gonna read during that?
But she was not completely different from me. We both lived with our father, who told us that our mother had run away after Owen's one because she didn't want to deal with two kids who could barely hear. Growing up, I would get horrible migraines because I would randomly hear loud ringing sounds that I couldn't control.
And this today was largely a test. I wanted to see if kids could handle this. I wanted to see if they actually liked it. And I would say that it went so well that I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of this going forward. And the last point I think that's worth making here is, look, I know I don't have a lot of students in my room, but that's not really an excuse. I've done this when I had 32 students in my classroom in West Philadelphia and no money and no resources. We still found a way to take the ordinary and to make it extraordinary. And you know what? It's fun for me too. I had a great time today. I feel full of energy. I'm not leaving the day feeling down or sad or just tired out. This took a lot of work. I was here till 9 o'clock last night, came in early this morning to finish doing it, and it was sick. It was better than I could have expected. I'm gonna have a full lesson plan coming out for this. We'll have it up on the Shopify store soon. But if you need anything else for now, go right to shop.teachyourclassoff.com and you can get all kinds of resources and stuff there. That's it for this one, gang. Peace.
I wish I had never even opened those barn doors that fateful day, because next to their bodies was a message in their blood that read, "I know you're awake, little boy. I'm coming for you next. I'm coming right now. I'm coming right now."